All right. I think we got all systems go on the Phoenix Rising Spotlight on Business. Welcome all our friends. If you're new to the channel, this is Phoenix Rising Community. This is our Phoenix Rising Spotlight on Business, where we aim to do, I say, one thing with three tenets. That's what I really think it is. It's we aim to inform, educate, and inspire. And we think we can put that together. We can reach our dreams of building a business community, a business class in the African American community. So we are happy that you have joined us. Let's go ahead and do the housekeeping first. If you're watching us on YouTube, click that like button, hit that subscribe notification button. If you're watching it, and share it. If you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button and share us to your friends, to your page. If you're on IG, hit the like button to share. Basically, y'all have been doing this long enough. Y'all know what you got to do on your social media, man. I shouldn't have to repeat it every time I come on here, man. Social media is an old thing, man. I mean, now we ain't on TikTok yet, so I don't know what we supposed to be doing on TikTok, and I'm not doing any dancing. So, but if my nephew or my nieces or my goddaughter share this on TikTok, do whatever you're supposed to do on TikTok to get us, to get our monetization up. So I got a treat for you all today. When I say a treat, like, if you saw the show with Brew, that was a treat. Like if she didn't inspire you, I don't know who did. Nobody will, except for this man. This is James Andrews. I don't want to put no pressure on him, but there might be some inside jokes that you all know about, because unlike most of the people I've interviewed on this show, I actually know James very well. We went to school together back at Howard, so you may have a lot of, like y'all say I promote my alma maters too much. Well, today I'm definitely going to promote my alma maters, because Howard University has done great things for everybody, and definitely a great thing for us. So we've known each other. We met
96.
over 20 years ago.
96, 24 years.
You was a young man. You was a young man then. That's I don't even think your children know that you're a young man at one point, man. But
you thought you were young.
Right. So, this is and the thing I've always loved about the Andrews, because great family. Like I said, I know a little bit about this gentleman. I'm gonna introduce him. He's practiced law on both coasts, West Coast and East Coast. He met his wife at Howard University, HU, producing Black families. So I'm not going to spoil what he's about to give you. It's just that I'm so happy that this man calls me a friend, and that he's decided to check. Can you hear me? Check into our show today and share. Check into our show today and share with the Phoenix Rising community. So without further ado, Phoenix Rising Committee, Phoenix Rising Community Spotlight on Business, please welcome James Andrews, Esquire.
Hey, well, thanks for the glowing welcome, Mr. Kenneth Ward. I guess kind of what we discussed before, we can kind of take this in any direction, but do you just tell me where you want me to start, where you want to start?
I'm sorry. I got so excited about you being here. So I know I told him a little bit about you, but tell him you're true. I always tell it. So, what a lot of people don't know about my brother collected comic books. So I collected comic books. So we were big comic book guys. So every superhero has their origin story. And the things you're doing makes you a superhero. Like I said, and I say that because the business class, that's a superhero class.
Right.
So what they need right now is your origin story. How did you become the James Andrews you are today?
Well, it's funny because you and your brother collect comic books, and I say it like this. I've got almost every issue of the Uncanny X-Men from 1984 until about 2018. and then Amazing Spider-Man during that same period, and then most recently with the Miles Morales Spider-Man. So at this point, I primarily collect them when I get a chance to read them as well. So I get where you're coming from. The origin story helps you to figure out what the reason is for your existence, why they are, or, how they became, or what it is that gave them their superpowers. And, if you really want to know something about, whether we're talking superheroes, we're talking biblical, we're talking government, you look at its beginning. So, for me, I say it like this, I'm crazy. I'm influenced by just a couple of things. One, very strong family basis, mother, father, met in the church, grandparents who all knew each other. So I was insulated by family. My family was huge. And as I said a second ago, by the church, my parents still attend the same church that they met in, 50 plus years ago, where my grandfather, my great grandmother, and all of them were friends. Now, I don't any longer live in that area, but to this day, they're still very active there. So I grew up with tight family, tight church. Father's a teacher, so education was always huge. As Ken mentioned, we met at Howard, and so I've gone on to study. I have more degrees than probably makes sense, but education being huge, and kind of contradictory to those things. I'm a product of hip hop. I'm 1975 in East Orange, New Jersey. So you put those things together, and you have a product of sort of aggression, ambition. But very community-based, very based in helping others. And frankly, as humans, we are created to shine God's glory, to love him and love our neighbor. So I can get off into some theology and some things of that nature. But, having been born in New Jersey, ended up in school in Virginia, then in DC, lived on the West Coast for 15, 16 years. Which had me in Northern California, Southern California, lived in Phoenix for a little while, for almost a decade, and now back here on the East Coast where we reside in Charlotte. And I'm in those movements, I've done everything from worked with startups, helped to found and fund a couple of companies, worked in fitness, worked as running my own legal practice. And now here in Charlotte, I got involved in real estate. So I'll start there and start giving a little bit more detail there because it's more specific to, I guess, where the conversation is going to go. We moved to Charlotte about 5 years ago, actually 5.5 years ago. And at the time I had the ambition to starting a company where we were going to help small businesses to leverage YouTube and other internet resources to mass market their businesses in their local areas. But very quickly, once we moved here, I'm out with a real estate agent. We're looking for a place to live. And I just had this epiphany or this unction to go flip a house. Never flipped a house before. I owned the rentals, a couple of rentals here or there. They bought our own owner-occupied properties before, financed a couple of properties, but never really wanted to get involved in the HGTV thing. But I'm getting in my real estate.
That's what we calling now, the HGTV thing?
I've never been one to watch a bunch of those shows. I know, actually, I couldn't even name the twins who were famous. I know there's
right. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
But I'm very familiar with them. You go on vacation,
right.
You see someone, you just binge watch a couple episodes. That's about the extent of my knowledge. But they do give a pretty good idea on what you see. You see a broken property that you need to fix, or get something new in place. Since that's what I ended up doing really quickly. I started off wholesaling a couple of properties, and all wholesaling is buying property directly from an owner instead of through a real estate agent, buying it at a discount so that you can then quickly resell it to an investor for a slight margin, for a slight profit.
Right. Okay.
Did that a couple of times and then got comfortable enough to buy my first flip. And over the last 5 years, I've done in excess of 30 flips. But in the midst of flipping properties, one of the things I kept realizing was every time I wanted to do a deal, I had to go to somebody for the money. I would raise money from investors, 15 to 30 to 40, 50 grand or more. And then I'd finally get it capped off with some institutional funding from some private source or a private person that lent to investors for these types of projects. And in doing that, I was thinking, okay, it'd be great if I could actually be a lender, or if I could help to broker these types of deals, because what should happen in, like with any field, as you're doing something, you get to know other people that are doing it via networking, and then just during the work you do. So mind you, I said I started off wholesaling property, then I started flipping property, but I never stopped wholesaling, at least at that juncture. And one of the things that frustrated me as a wholesaler was I would buy a property, or I'd get a property under contract that I was looking to sell. I would be looking to sell it to a third party, but the deal would stop because I was waiting for their financing, for their money to come through so they could close the deal.
Right.
On the outside looking in, because here it is, I wasn't the buyer, so I couldn't talk with the bank or the lender because I wasn't the buyer. I'm like,
right.
I find a way to get on the inside of this for a couple of reasons. One, there's money that they're spending to make this transaction happen. But two, so I could be in more control of the whole transaction. So what I figured it out. I figured out what I needed to do to start brokering deals. I needed to build some relationships.
All right, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there because that's fantastic. But we need to go back because, like I said, the education is important, the information is important. But I think the inspiration comes from trying to see what folks' gumption is. And I'm gonna say gumption because one, you move from, like, you're from Jersey, you're a northern dude. You move from Arizona to Charlotte, right? With the idea, I'm just going to open up a business in Charlotte. That's what I'm gonna do, all right? And I get it that you got a lot of degrees. I get that. And I've been in class with you. I know your brains work, but none of that matters. A lot of smart people out there. The wholesaling, okay, low risk, all right. But what was it that said to you, James, you can start lending money? Like, all right, we see this process. Like, I think that's where the inspiration may come from for someone, because, you are a kid from Jersey. You had great parents, but you're really just a kid from Jersey. So I want that kid from Jersey to hear that it's in them too. So what was it in you that made you say, oh, I can start lending? So go back to that for me, please.
Okay. So, all right. So then I said, I kind of fast forwarded in the midst of my story. All right. So kind of giving us focus here. One, what you said is wholeheartedly true. I think you look at any communities, they only build based on the backs of the small businesses, the people who are willing to take the risks to advance, as opposed to going to work for someone. Now, obviously, every business needs people working for someone. So this isn't a condemnation on people who collect a check. But in order for communities to rise, in order for people to really go get it, they've got to be able to create something, got to generate something. I come from a family of people who have the proverbial side hustles. Specific to every community, particularly Black communities, everybody got a side hustle. But there's one thing to have a side hustle and to be hustled by something on the side. I'm even for people who are fully time employed, I encourage folks to have something they're working, that's generating some revenue for them. For me, now you ask, what compelled me to so to say, to make the jump? I think it's a little different for me because I've never wanted to do anything but run my own show. I say it like this: I'm a good employee. I'm capable. I'm competent. I can go take instructions and, do what someone else tells me to do. I can do it pretty well. But at a certain point, I'm thinking about, how can I build it? How can I take this thing and twist it and flip it and put my own stamp on it in a way that I want it to be? And at our core, I think we all want to leave our impression. We all want to replicate ourselves in some way. And we don't get to do that in our work environment unless it's truly ours, or unless we're creating something under somebody else's umbrella. There's no secret sauce, but the biggest ingredient is just lack of fear. It's lack of fear of taking the step and then having the wherewithal, the capabilities to execute. And for the things that you can't execute on, be able to recruit people to help you to do those things. You'll hear me say, and we've all heard the saying, keep it simple. A lot of times we make things a lot more complicated than they really need to be. But whether it's Bill Gates or whether it's Steve Jobs or any of these guys, they have these crazy great minds on these concepts, but they had to start. And how did they start? They just started by doing. They took a step. For the next kid from Jersey or Baltimore or Charlotte who has an idea and they just want to get it going, whether it's they just want to get a t-shirt company going or they have the next social media app, what do they have to do? They have to take the next step. They got to tell somebody. They got to tell themselves they're going to do it and then tell somebody else they're going to do it and then make the first step, whether it's put something down on paper or get somebody else to believe in their concept. But you just got to take the steps, one step after another. I wish I could make it sound a whole lot sexier and more complicated, but take the steps. And once you make up your mind, once I made up my mind, that's what I was going to do. That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And
all right. Now that's what you. Oh, that's what you did. So now tell us. Well, one, we still like this is part inspiration, but it's also part you in business. We don't have you. What's the name of your business?
Yeah.
What's your social media? How do people get in contact with you?
Okay, well, we run two real estate companies. One's called Homes in 704. IN 704. 704, as we all like to shout out our area codes now. So 704 is unique for Charlotte. Then we also have HI7 Capital. HI7 Capital is an acronym for Homes in 704. HI7 Capital, which is our lending arm. Those are the two major things. Now, I do some consulting work under the name Exusia Business Academy, but it's primarily Homes in 704 and HI7 Capital. And the social media follows those. I'm for good or bad, I'll say it like this. I'm old enough to have used a phone that you actually was attached to a wall and you dialed numbers. And I'm enough to have used Facebook and be familiar with IG, with Instagram, but I'm not all on it. With regards to the businesses, we have a Facebook page, which you just Homes in 704, HI7 Capital. Those are the handles for both of those under said hashtags. We're up on Instagram with Homes in 704, not with HI7 Capital. Facebook is a really good place for us for business. Instagram, not so much for the industry I work. At least I haven't quite yet. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn is great for us. LinkedIn is great as well. I think it's LinkedIn is a pretty good place for us to be able to connect and to network virtually.
All right, and you can find you on LinkedIn at James Andrews.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. LinkedIn, James. Yeah. Now, obviously, my name is extremely common, but I'm James. James Andrews, Homes in 704, or real estate investor, real estate lending, what have you. And you see so you see the guy that looks like me. That's probably me.
Right. Yeah. So again, and it's funny. I had this conversation with another guest about that fear. So we're probably I'm probably going to do a panel show at some point with at least 3 or 4 because that one day we're gonna have to delve deep in that fear and stepping over. Like it's okay to be afraid. Okay, now do it.
Exactly.
So yeah. So take us. All right. So now we've gotten to the what. Now tell us the how. Before regards to the lending and.
So, my wife looks at me sometimes crazy, and people have kind of walked this journey with me. Sometimes scratch their head because the question is, "What are you doing this week?" It's so tongue in cheek. I had never, before we got here, I hadn't done much in real estate, but the how was simply, I don't know what to do. So let me start taking steps. I did some research online. I joined an internet networking place called Bigger Pockets that allowed me to get familiar with and have conversations with other investors. So I put myself in the room, so to say. Then I also went ahead and got a real estate license, which I actually didn't keep long term, but it helped me to at least learn the fundamentals and learn the ins and outs of handling transactions from the regulatory and legal side. So I accrued knowledge, but from good or bad, again, this isn't going to work for everyone, but nuggets of this can. I just continue to take steps forward. I did have a plan, which I loosely drew out. I had some goals that I loosely wanted to hit, but I made sure I got some knowledge from myself, but also I got familiar with other people. And part of my process, I'll kind of give you I made some weekly goals. On a weekly basis, I wanted to meet in person 5 people. That was either a lunch, a dinner, or a breakfast, or some sort of coffee or something. 5 people every week. The sheer numbers of that, 5 every week was at least 20 a month. Over the course of the year, that was 240 people. So just the intentionality of the individual networking, not I'm going to this event so I can talk to 50 different people and hand out a card. No, it was, I'm going to meet Ken Ward. I'm going to meet John Smith. I'm going to meet Bubba Jones. I'm going to meet Sally Smith. I'm going to meet 5 people this week and have one-on-ones specific about what it is I'm looking to do. And when I meet with them, we're going to talk about them. I'm going to get intimate knowledge about them, how they do what they do. I'm going to let them know what I'm doing as well as what I'm looking to do. And I'm going to also ask them about other people that I should network and talk with. And before we leave, help me book at least 1 or 2 of my next visits, my next appointments. So I would just say, because people are like, so how did you do that regularly? Well, because I made sure every time I met and sat with someone, I got it with at least 1 or 2 of my next appointments. So I also did the same thing online. I was pretty aggressive about, just finding folks and hitting them up, not being fearful of making the introduction. Now, this may sound a little dated as I'm now in my mid 40s. I'll be 46 here soon, married with 5 kids. But I had to assume that like that dating posture of they're not going to go out with me if I don't ask.
Right.
And for all of my guys and my gals out there, you've got to assume this posture of, so what if they say no? So just back to the fear piece. Yeah, not everybody I called and said, hey, James Andrews, I'm a new investor here in Charlotte. Love to just talk to you about your business and what I'm trying to do. Very frankly, I'm new here. I've got some resources, but really trying to figure out how to best put them to work. Love to take you to lunch or love to take you to coffee. I can even come by and pick you up. And these are just cold sometimes.
Right.
If I got to know, hey, awesome, understand you're busy. Anybody else I can possibly talk with? Not being too high and mighty to be humble, but also not being so soft and not being so soft in not breaking down so quickly when I got to know. Because very honestly, I got a lot of no's.
Okay, so right. So, but the no didn't kill you.
No.
Like you still strong?
No, and as a matter of fact, what ended up happening in a lot of those circumstances, the person that told me no, let's say on week 3, I got no from 10 people. Some of them came back around looking to meet with me. So, who now are asking me for loans or asking me for money. So, but you got to put yourself in the game. One of the things I didn't mention as an influence was, I was an athlete all the way into college. And, it was kind of like, I didn't play football into college, but high school, I think this is the best analogy. Or you were a wrestler, you get this. It don't matter who you line up next to. You got to go. Because if you put your all into it, you put yourself at risk of getting hurt. Like life, you got to go at it hard. Otherwise, you're just going to get whatever the blow is that someone else is going to deliver to you. And it ain't nice out there. You gotta go on the offense. You gotta play defense, but you gotta be in the game. You gotta put your tools in. So, so you ask about the whole fear factor. Yes, it's absolutely natural to have some trepidation. It's absolutely natural to want to question yourself, which you should. But my sport was I ran. I was a runner. I was a hurdler. Every time I got on the starting line in a race that where it was heavy competition, I had some butterflies. But as a hurdler, I was like, all right, let's attack, let's go. Because if I don't get dusted.
Right.
Life and running out and going and doing your own thing.
All right, well, shoot, we can end it right there, man. I think if you ain't inspired after that, then you ain't listening. Huh? Well, I want to thank you for being on now. Actually, we're not going nowhere, man. I've been trying to catch up with you for years, so I ain't letting you go anywhere. But I do, guys. I always believe that we're gonna get monetized and have 10 million followers. So I got to make sure that I take the intermission and tell everybody, hit the like button, hit the notification button, share this video, because this is the thing about the sharing. If you've been inspired by anything that James has said, then there's somebody who need the same inspiration. And if you don't send it to them, you're just selfish. That's it. That's all. Now YouTube's going to play something. We're going to come back. And we're going to talk about what else James got going on. But now, and I don't mean to come down on you, but yeah, share this with a friend, man. Somebody needs to hear this, man. Somebody needs to hear this. So Jake, one of the things, I mean, I think you might have told us your why. Like, you know, if you got 5 kids, you better get up in the morning. But but we ask every guest this, but because I think it's important, because I think it goes back to, we're probably going to talk about fear this whole time, but I think it goes back to the fear. Like, if your why is strong enough, the fear doesn't matter. So what is your why?
It's two-pronged. Actually, there are 2 major prongs, but there's a lot underneath it. You know, I always think about, I said it a minute ago, if you want to know why something exists, look at its origin. You know, why were we created? We were created because we're supposed to shine God's light and we're supposed to love one another. Really, really basic. Now, break that down to just us as individuals. Like I said, married, 5 children. So, you know, just right in front of my face is I've got 6 people other than myself that I've got to make sure I don't even say let down, but I've got to support. And not just support, I've got to elevate. Because we're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. That means when I leave here, not only should there just be one, I shouldn't just replicate, I've got to multiply. So my primary task is, and easiest, the lowest hanging fruit in my life is to inspire, to elevate, and motivate those people in my household. But beyond that, if it was just me taking care of them, then, you know, then we'd be siloed up underneath the people, with the people in our roofs. So the why for me really has always been about making sure I make the most, or at least I'm trying to make the most with whatever talents and gifts that I have are, and share them. And then most proximal to me, making sure that the people I help to bring into this world are set up so that they can take off as well. Now, we can do a deeper dive with that, civic responsibility, you know, and some of the other things, you know, some theologies and justice and this, that, and the other. But at the core of it is, we got to be fruitful and multiply. And you can only do that by being active, by taking action. You know, it lines up with what I said a second ago about, you know, the athletic analogy. You can only produce wins if you're training, and then there and you perform. You know, and frankly, you could train all you want. You get as much education as you want. You can go to as many courses. You can spend as much money and get as much knowledge as you want. You can make yourself look as good as you want. But unless you get up to bat, unless you get on the starting line, unless you get on the line in the middle of the square circle, unless you actually step up to the plate and get involved with the event, it's all for nothing. The whole business segment, whatever the business is, you're not really, you're failing yourself and you're failing the people around you unless you're putting into work what you got. Now, it just so happens most of everything I've ever done has been in some sort of counselor or advocate position. So it's a matter of helping folks to do something they're not able to do on their own, whether it's acquire funds, or you know, obtain a proper resolution. But at the end of the day, it's really, the why is so that I can look out and say that I've done the most with what I've been given, as help to multiply the good that can be done. So taking it back to your comic books, what did Uncle Ben say to Peter Parker?
Too much is given,
much is expected. Right. Much is required. That's it.
Much is required. Much is required.
And you know, I said
with power comes responsibility. Yep, all that, all the good stuff.
Yep.
So, oh man, this is. Yo, I gotta thank you, man. I always like it's for you taking the time out. Like I said, you got dinner on the stove. You got kids. And you take the time to talk to me, man. I really appreciate it. You know, Phoenix Rising community appreciates it. And you know, the way you spotlighting businesses and giving folks, you know, nuggets, bricks to build on and work with is phenomenal to me, man. But you have so much going on. So you got the flipping going on. Well, you got the wholesaling, you got the flipping. Nah, I don't want to do nothing. I can do all that, but then, you know, let me start lending money. So what actually, Are you? I think we're gonna stay with that for real. There's one place I want to go, but we're gonna stay with that real quick for people who might be in the market for your services. Are you just lending in North Carolina, or are you lending other places?
We lend nationwide. Actually, as of right now, I mean, we lend nationwide. I lend everywhere except North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana.
Okay. All right. So again, so Phoenix Rising Community, go to the website. Give them the business number.
URL. So the URL is H like Harry, H like Howard, I like Apple, the number 7, capital CAPITAL.com.
Okay. And is there a business phone, or they reach you through the website?
No, you can reach through the website, but the business phone 704-765-9560.
All right. Now that's probably for me because I'm old school and I like phone numbers. I hate when I go on a website and can't find a goddamn phone number. But for the Phoenix Rising community, they're all tech savvy and you probably getting pinged right now for money and financing. But yeah, so you got that going, man. But you like that wasn't good enough for you. Like 3 things going in the law practice, and I'm new to Charlotte. That wasn't good enough for you. You said there's something else missing, and I need to build it. And what is that?
Well, I said I went back to my origin and where I was rooted. So I'm definitely the product of, I say of the church, but I'm more specifically a child of God. And unfortunately, I think you have to make a distinction between the two now. And I don't want to go off on that tangent, but I was called to the ministry, frankly, a long time ago. I accepted calling within the last decade. And so I've been a preacher teacher, though, forever. And most recently, I've been working on plans for a church plant. And it's a little unique, though. I think we have enough buildings, but we don't have enough fruit-producing communities. So we're actually in the midst of, we are going to have a space because it's good for people to congregate together in person. And that's one of the things I think that's been spotlighted by a lot of the siloing we've had to do with these stay-at-home orders and with COVID, unfortunately. But another thing that's become more evident is societally, I think people have become used to broadcasting, using the internet as a means of disseminating and putting a message out there. But we haven't yet got a grip on how to build true community. Now, there's never going to be a substitute for in person, but there's a lot that we can leverage the internet for that can still bring folks together to exchange needs, wants, ideas, whatever the resources are. So we're in the midst of an endeavor to plant a truly Christ-centered community, so to say, a Facebook or an online church. So it's I could say it's an aggressive endeavor. It's not really that aggressive, but it's really taking what the church is supposed to be and doing it online, getting rid of the responsibility and frankly the noose of a real estate expense, doing more than just, hey, I'm James and I'm preaching on Sunday, come listen to me, but anchored on praying, which if we're not leading with prayer, we're leading with my own design and desire, which is destined to, it may exceed or may excel based on man's own desires, but it's not truly shining light to Christ. So anchored in prayer, worship, good preaching and teaching, as well as charity. So all of that to say, that's I won't even say the next endeavor. That's a theme. That's something that's flowing through. We're working aggressively on now. The name of the entity is the Mark 1615 Commission. I can't even give you the URL yet because we don't have a website up. We do have a fledgling Facebook group, Mark 1615 Commission, and I've started posting some of the sermons that I've done since we've been shut in since March. So and that's on YouTube, and it's again it's the Mark 1615 COMM, short for commission. But that's the big endeavor. And frankly, if we can establish community where Ken Ward in Baltimore helps to inspire, your calling being helping people to get off of their behinds and go motivate them to be more productive in society as business owners. And somehow, some way you get connected with some cat in, I don't know, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and with somebody in Modesto, California. Great, great. So that's what we're really aiming to do.
All right, so I'm gonna say what everybody who's watching this is thinking. So I know I have 24 hours in my day, but after this conversation with you, what you got 30, 35 hours in your day, 5 kids, a family,
So
3 businesses, a church, church community that you're putting together. Like, yeah, that seems like 35 hours worth of work a day, man. You got like 8, you get 8 days when the rest of us get 7.
There are two things I kind of attach to, and they sort of speak against one another, but they're kind of what I live by. One, Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, who Martin Luther King was actually named after, said,
right.
His days were busy. He's the guy that started the Reformation, that moved the church away from just total Catholicism, right? Somebody who's Baptist, Pentecostal, AME, blah, 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 right? He said this, he's got busy days, but when his days, he prayed 2 hours a day. But the crazier it got, if it got so crazy, he paid 3 hours a day. That sounds kind of, counterindicative. It's, okay, I'm busier, but I'm going to pray more. So one, I make sure I start every day. Without fail, I start every day in prayer, and I don't plan the time frame. It's just, how long am I supposed to truly be on my knees seeking clarity? And I just go with that. Because what that helps me to do, it helps to arm me. It helps to arm me because I know, okay, at 8:30, I got to speak to this dude who ain't going to be happy because we need these conditions to get this loan done that was supposed to close last week. But if I'm already armed and I know how to prepare, and I've already prepared for the day, I can push through that conversation and keep it going. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
But, and not just for the bad things, but to take advantage of, or to make the most of all the good things that are going to happen as well. So that's one. Pray hard, stay connected to my source, right? And I say that specifically relationally looking upward, just sort of anecdotally for God, but also with the good people around me, stay very well connected. But then also now kind of more terrestrial, more humanly, I don't sleep a whole lot. Now, as I get older, those days of sleeping 3 hours a day, because God knows when I was in law school, man, sleeping 3 hours, I was sleeping in.
Right.
Can't do that as much now.
Mm-hmm.
But if I get 4 hours, 5 hours, woo, man, it's like vacation. So I heard Steve Harvey say something. He went on this, and I'm, for whatever it's worth, I'm not a big Steve Harvey fan by any means, but he said something I thought was right on. For people who always talk about they need to get some sleep, whatever, you productive time. So take it real simply, prayed hard, fellowship hard, and always just looking for the next action, the next thing I need to do. One caveat to that though, I'm big on, we can run, but we can only do that if we take we have specific time that we dedicate to rest and reflect. Okay, that's why we have a weekend. That's why you take your car to get every certain number of miles. You get to oil change, the tires run. Because if you just run, you get run out. But if you run and restore, you can keep running and possibly run harder with more focus and better until you get to your next resting point. Like I said, I'm a preacher, so I can keep it going. But I'll
Oh yeah, no. I was listening, man. I was listening. My show. Somebody told me my shoulder keep disappearing. That's the special effects, man. I always wanted to be the invisible man, and so now with Zoom, I got the opportunity. So I'm gonna wear a green jacket next time, y'all won't be able to see my head. How about that?
That's one thing I'll say. I committed one of the online sins today. I don't know what I was thinking, but skin tone and color should be, well, I have a black background because it works well with dark back, but I should have been wearing bright. So for all those people out there, if you're doing an interview, you're doing Zoom or something like that, solid colors that are bright work better. So you're set up well, got the blue with the light background today. Yeah, me, I just got it, the way it comes across, depending on someone's contrast, they might just see this brown circle with this white stuff opening my teeth.
Yeah, man. So it's great talking to you. Yeah, we got, but so the other thing that we always ask, right? Because again, the same thing like you said about building that community, building that is that there might be somebody, out the West Coast is yours, but I like Houston is one of my favorites. There might be somebody in Houston, so we always ask everybody because it's about one of the things that I think when you build a business class, you got to understand that it's done by teams. Like you can't do it as an individual. Like you need, you need vendors. Every major corporation that you know of has vendors that services that corporation. They put out contracts because they can't do it everything. Like Coca-Cola they make sugary drinks. They don't do, they don't do the cleaning. They don't do, they don't do a lot of stuff. They don't, they don't do the tech stuff. Like they got to farm that stuff out. So what's on your whiteboard? And I know you do half of it, but what's on your whiteboard that someone is listening and watching this in the Phoenix Rising community who has a business, who you have a need and it's been sitting there and you're like, man, I'm gonna get to it, but it's sitting there and we try to get everything. We believe in emptying the bucket, cleaning the desk. Actually, emptying the bucket is somebody else's terminology, so I'm not going to use it. But cleaning the desk so that, at the end of the day, we can start over again. So what's on your whiteboard that somebody might see and be like, hey, I can service that need?
It's funny you said that because when you said whiteboard, I had to look up and look right at it. And actually, there are two roles that I need really to fulfill. One as a replacement for someone, and one just because I need someone with an expertise, not just me managing it. And primarily to do with the connectivity. One, what we've been talking about, I need someone that can truly not just post something on Facebook or post a picture, but can help me to develop a system and a calendar for postings on across all of the social media platforms we need to be on. Okay, so I need a social media someone to be my social media guru. But then secondly, who, and they say it's old school, but I don't know any true business that gets done unless people have dialogue. I need someone who can be a tireless person on the phone. I need someone who can pick up the phone and make phone calls as follow-ups, but as well as, hey, this is Sarah Smith, and I'm calling from HS7 Capital. Love to talk to you about your real estate, your real estate ambitions, as well as, hey, I'm calling you just to kind of see what it is you need help with. But I need a good phone person. I need a good social media person. I have other needs to grow a business. They're more ambitious, but just core to where we are right now and what I need immediately, it would be those two things. And
okay, good.
We pay well.
Right. So good. I mean, and that, like I said, I'm a big, like I said, we're going to grow this business class. And when it's where I believe it should be, you can all do a scholarship in my name to Howard University and Winston-Salem State University. And that's all I ask. That's all I ask. And yes, that is a shameless plug for my alma maters, man.
That's all right. Yeah,
so again, go ahead.
It's just, you just jogged something else. You asked about fear and this compulsion to go. And part of it also has to do with your background. And I'm a UVA undergrad. I went to Howard for law school. I've now got 2 kids in college. You went to Winston-Salem State. I got 2 of them. It wasn't planned this way, but I got 2 of them at A&T, North Carolina A&T. So right down the road.
I thought you loved your kids though, man. But we'll talk about that later.
I love them dearly, But that HBCU, people have their issues and people have their praise. I'm a big proponent. It rock solidly sounds and gives our kids a basis from which they can jump off. Now, is it foolproof, 100% successful? No, because every individual has to take their own steps, provides them what they need. It provides them what they need, and we're byproducts of it. So
yeah. So I've those folks in Greensboro are big rivals. Well, I guess you got to actually beat us to be our rival, but they're that's a pretty good place. That's a pretty good place,
Yes.
So, but I didn't know you was old enough to have 2 kids in college, though, man.
the checkbook, the whatever you want to call it, all the other signs are there. All the other signs are there. Figure, like we said,
Yeah.
24 years. I've got a sophomore and a junior.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And again, I'm joking. Like I said, I told there to be a whole lot of inside jokes here because I'm joking with this, this man because I know him. But I do want to emphasize and highlight this point. Like, look, like 2 kids in college, 5 children, and I still want to be my own man and put my stamp on a number of things. Like that's I want anybody taking the time to listen to this video, watch this video all the way through. When you think about all the excuses that James could have made or not to do. Well, I'm gonna stay at this job because I got 5 kids and a wife, and they pay me well, and every 2 weeks, but then look at all the excuses. Like he like, boom, I'm gone, I'm out. This is what I'm doing. And what are you doing? What are you doing next week?
Right. Something else, and I think we don't emphasize it enough. And I think, fresh out of school, I was done with it voluntarily, but we're so consumed with just reading a tweet or just short commentaries. But some of the things that inspired me have obviously been some of the people and some of the places I've been. But some of the books that I've read, as I look back, some of the transformative things, autobiography of Malcolm X, the thing that I think innately we people appreciate Malcolm, whether you agree with his politics or his social positions or not, the magnificence in him was his change.
Right.
And all we're talking about today is not being fearful of taking that step. Malcolm the pimp wouldn't have lived long, but Malcolm the minister impacted the world in a way very few people have. But he had to. And how did he do it? Through people and through his mind. Why do white guys have to have all the fun? Another really impactful book for me. And these are books that I read over 20, 25 years ago. This day, man, I read within the last 3 years, I read 2 of the biographies of Billy Graham. You talk about impact on our country for good and bad, just impact. There are very few people you could who hold a candle to the impact on our country. Reading a book by a brother by the name of Sunday Adeleja. This is a Nigerian dude, darker skin than you and I, in Yugoslavia, who's got the largest Protestant church, 25,000 members. Right, Black dude from Africa with the church in the Western Bloc Europe.
Wow.
So, I wanted to say, by continuously reading about these influential figures, it helps you realize they're just people too. A lot of them come from beginnings, but it's just taking one step after another. And you see that no 2 people have the same story. There's no just like add water and bake, but it's having the fortitude to just keeping one step after another.
It's funny, you just gave me, now I got to go back and revamp. I think some people know, but everybody might know that we do, we send out a questionnaire for folks, who we do interviews with, just for background information. But now I'm gonna have to add that to the questionnaire. What's the book that inspired you? One book that inspired you, because they're not gonna put together a reading list. But yeah, that's when, actually, yep. And that's why we have to have these conversations. That's kind of how the Spotlight on Business developed, because it's through, like you said, it's through a number of things. Like you said, when you was meeting with those 5 people, and I want to go back there because again, we're trying to give people. I always say we're trying to give you not a blueprint, but more of regular folks who found their superpower. Because I don't want to take away from the fact that you did something extraordinary, or business owners do something extraordinary, but they're regular folks who found their superpower. The only thing is, we say that you all have superpowers, you just got to find it, And if I can be your Professor X, I'll take that.
Giancarlo Esposito is supposed to be the next Professor X, but we can talk about that offline.
Oh, yeah, we talk about that. Okay.
You just said something about ordinary people. I say it like this: I still don't know what I'm supposed to do or want to do when I grow up.
Mm-hmm.
But I just keep taking steps forward.
Right. Right. So tell me about the where did you get the idea? Like, okay, again, we go back to I'm going to wholesale, I'm going to flip, I'm going to lend. Hey, I'm new to Charlotte. Let me call and see if I can meet with 5 people. Like were you laying down when that came to you? Were you in a conference? Like how did you decide I'm gonna talk to 5 people a week? 5 in,
So things, generally speaking, my planning comes through a couple of different ways. Good things happen, consistency over time. I'm consistent about, on a periodic basis, I sit down and I plan. I dedicate time to planning. Okay. And I'm big on SMART goals. They have to be specific, measurable, and so forth. Right. So I specifically said that I need to meet people. But how many people do I need to meet? Well, I mean, every day I got to have lunch. I got to have breakfast. Do I take a coffee break late in the afternoon? Yes. So why not make that every day? And why don't I make it a goal to meet at least one? And I say at least one. Some days I have breakfast, coffee, and lunch with different people, but at least one every day of the business week. And adhere to that. And what had to happen was then I had to focus on being able to line those up. So I had to have, sort of say, the James's Business Dating Service. So I needed to line up my dates for the next week.
right.
So that was very intentional. That was me sitting down and planning and thinking through just the logistics of every day. Some of the other goals and things that I fleshed out, some of which are very specific to real estate, which aren't necessarily transferable. Some came to me just while I was driving. I'm big on driving, and just, a lot of people want to get in their car and have music going and a lot of noise. That, for me, sometimes, especially if I'm highway driving, is just shut everything off and just let my line go. And then being able to record whatever that thought is so I don't forget it.
You forget it.
But, there are certain things that came to me just as I'm just being intentionally still. Though I'm driving, being still. But remember, I said I start every day with just in prayer. And sometimes that prayer is just listening. Dear Heavenly Father, I just need some time to just sit here still with you. If something comes to something that you want to deliver to me, I just want to be still so I can hear it. And ever so often, something hits me that I'm like, okay, really? Wasn't what I was thinking, but let's go.
Yeah. All right.
So, the intent was having time set aside to prepare for whatever's next.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be as small as what specific steps I need to take, or as big as this needs to be my next endeavor.
All right.
Without you the faith to follow it.
Say it again. I don't think everybody heard you. Say it again.
Then having the faith about you to follow it. Because it's one thing to have a plan, another thing to have this premonition, this epiphany, but it's all for naught if you don't follow it, if you don't take the steps forward. So kudos to you for having this epiphany and saying, all right, let's go. I'm just going to start interviewing folks. And even if it's just you just collecting material now to just, to put up online, and then you build from that. It would have been for nothing if you just had the idea and you were talking people to death about it. We all know a whole lot of folks that got all these plans. They're about to do something.
Right.
A million of those cats, I'm about to. Next time I hear somebody say I'm about to, and I just tell folks, you're about to, so what's stopping you? And there are reasons why, but there's a whole lot of, like you said, a lot of excuses. Excuses produce.
Right. Right. Yeah. Hey, well, you know what? We let you get the guests get the last word. I don't know how, but you probably could be more inspirational than that. So I'm gonna talk a little bit longer, Keith. But of course, we always, so social media doesn't technically have commercials, but y'all know the drill. Facebook, likes, share. YouTube, share, notification button, likes. I just found this out. Even if you don't like this, hit that too. Like, I don't know why you went like this, man. I mean, I'm a great host and we got James Andrews here. So I don't know why you went like this, but even if you don't, hit that dislike button because that helps us out too. I didn't even know that. Like, somebody told me that and I was like, oh, okay. So so the engagement matters, whether you like it or don't dislike it. So if you really don't like it, then you go away. But before you leave, hit something.
It's
you know, and put a comment down below too, man, because, great thing about this is, we can take the comments and we can put people, like I said, we're building a business class, and simple thing about business is you want to do business with people, everybody. This goes across, this is just human beings. Want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And we want to build a community. We're building a community of business owners that, know and can be trusted. And then, you have to meet each other and see if you like each other. Like, I can't do nothing about that. Like, that's just human beings, man. But, that's important. So leave a comment, if you have a question, if you have a statement, like, I don't care what you have, just leave it and let's start a discussion about it. Like, that's the thing. What I will say is I want to make this outside of the inspiration, and it's not going in the tagline, but I want to make this a safe place for ideas too. So if you got an idea and you're scared to tell your wife, you're scared to tell your mama, your daddy, is going to yell at you, put it here, man. Maybe somebody will be like, hey, I had a similar idea, and maybe something will spawn from that. So, but we are bumping up against that hour. I know you could go for a long time. I could talk to you forever. But we really want, like I said, and I always want to make sure, like, we're here for a specific reason. We're here to inform, educate, and inspire. I think you did all that today. But I am going to let you, leave the community, on today only, because you're part of the community now. So, I'll be calling you, but leave the community today with what's the thought that you want to leave the Phoenix Rising Spotlight on Business community? What do you want to leave them with?
I say this, and think about it specifically to where you are. I mean, we're just coming off of a season of crazy unrest. There's been a bottle up. I mean, obviously you guys had Freddie Gray was right there, and then the summer with George Floyd, and a lot of the I guess a lot of the bottled up energy that has been, in a lot of ways, was a let go this summer and continues to spill forward as we come to the election. And I look at a transition of power in this country. As much as that there have been issues and there are ways to look at it just about justice and inequality, a lot of that has to do with, our economic and our ownership stake in our neighborhoods, in our countries, and in our country. And truly, the only way to have a ownership of something is either buy or to create. And within your power is to create. And when I say create, creation can be having an idea and putting it into motion. So I would say, as we've been trying to find ways to have better control over our own, I'll say, destinies, to establish more equity and more justice in our communities, ownership through creation is imperative. So I implore folks, I hopefully can and motivate, inspire, whatever the words needs to be to get people to take that first step. You have an idea, take the first step. Maybe it's just calling Ken and saying, hey, Uncle Ken, I got this idea. What should I do? Do what you need to do to take that next step. And then you can take it from there.
Well, I mean, I can't say no better than that. Again, thank you for joining us, James. And like I said, again, if you are the internet guru, the social media guru, please get in contact. He's looking to fill that position, looking to partner, looking to get somebody for that, and looking for somebody on the phones or make some phone calls. So yeah, I mean, again, we're out here. Business owners are out here. And I always tell people, if you put 8 to 10 business owners together and provide a service for them, you got a business.
Enough said. Very true, especially if it's repeat. Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, thank you. If you haven't been inspired, I won't do that because my shoulder disappeared like they told me. if you haven't been inspired by the words of James Andrews, you're going to be a hard person to inspire. But we appreciate everyone in the Phoenix Rising community. We appreciate you, James, for joining us. And again, we are here to inform, educate, and inspire. You can do it. In the words of James Andrews, take the first step. We will see you all next time.